let's take a look at the latest on Operation Dudula, as police are on high alert after Alexandra residents embarked on a protest against undocumented nationals operating businesses in the township. Let's discuss this further. We're joined by Makashule Gana, DA member of Gauteng Legislature, and Herman Mashaba. He's the leader of ActionSA. Gentlemen, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. Mr. Gana, let's start with you. You were part of the consultations on the new Gauteng economic bill, which is touted to bring or to be a huge boost for township economies. What is it that you heard from everyday South Africans in relation to their reality on the ground?
Thanks very much, Dudula, and afternoon to the Newzroom viewers, Newzroom Afrika viewers. One of the things that was a constant in all the public hearings that we did on the Township Economic Development Bill was the large numbers of foreign-owned shops in the townships. And one said and thought, you know what, we can decide as a nation to look at this violently, to look at this in ways that at the end of the day will not bring South Africans to the economic doorstep. Or we can then choose a particular path. And this is the path that I've chosen to advocate. And that's the path that we as South Africans need to use our economic buying power to be deliberate in our support of South African-owned businesses. I mean, this needs to be a deliberate action on our part, because we must not, as South Africans, behave as if we do not have some kind of power in this particular instance to be able to reclaim our township economy. I believe that we can use the money in our pockets, we can use the grants that we receive from the state to be deliberate in our support of South African-owned businesses. And we owe no one an apology when we advocate that we need to support South African-owned businesses so that South African-owned businesses can be able to compete and serve its residents.
Mr. Mashaba, you believe that these organizations should lay the blame squarely at the Department of Home Affairs, amongst others. Why?
Well, I think it's actually quite disappointing and sad for Mr. Gana as the public rep to really put the blame on ordinary South Africans. And it appears to me that, I don't know, when they were going through the township economy and trying to revitalize this, if he has come across how these international criminal cartels are doing business in our country, coming here illegally, bringing counterfeit goods, operating as cartels. These are not just really ordinary people from Pakistan or Kazakhstan or whatever, or Nigeria. These are international criminal syndicates who are dominating our economy, making it difficult for people to operate businesses as we used to operate prior to 1998, 1994, when this criminal organization called the ANC took over our government and opened our borders, making South Africa lose its sovereignty. So I think we really request that Ghana to say, as a politician, please hold the government accountable to ensure that we can grow our economy. The only way you can grow an economy in any environment, you need the rule of law. So to expect our people to really use their financial power, how will they use their financial power when they are unemployed? 13 million South Africans are unemployed. Majority of them living on this 350 a month. That cannot really be enough or justify allowing criminal syndicates to compete with them.
I'm glad you bring up the pre-1994 township economy, if you will. To my recollection, at least, if you know somebody that runs a spaza shop 5, houses down the line from you, or you've got certain shops. One that comes to mind in Orlando, Guamacheta, which have now been turned into either salons or drinking holes. There was a sense of community, and there was a sense of keeping the money within the community pre-1994. So, Dr. Mashaba, you speak of lawlessness, which, yes, I absolutely do understand. You yourself, you're a businessman. You know what it is or how it is like to be supported by the people of the township. From your observation, what we had then and what we have now, can we squarely blame it on a lack of governance because people were able to make do without a government?
Yes, I think we made and survived in business when the apartheid government was against us legally for us to operate businesses. We operated because we had no government that was not operating and really supporting us. Today we're sitting with a problem where there's total lawlessness. Borders are open, are the most porous in the world, allowing criminal syndicates, bringing billions of counterfeit goods in our country, and working closely with our senior politicians. So we expect and really request people like Mr. Gana, because he's someone I have lots of respect for. I hope one day I'll be able to really work with him to save this country. But, Mr. Gana, we're going to save this country if we can bring back the rule of law. Let's hold this criminal enterprise called ANC to understand the rule of law, not to subject our country to this total lawlessness that is today the order of the day in our country.
Dudu, I need to come in here.
Please do.
I need to come in here. You see, we must not behave as if it's an either-or choice. We can hold government accountable whilst being deliberate in our support of South African businesses. To then say that people will not be able to buy from South Africans, how are they able to buy from someone from Somalia or Pakistan? The very same money that's used to buy at a Bangladeshi shop, a Somalian shop, an Ethiopian shop, a Pakistani shop, should be the money should be used and encouraged to support South African businesses. Because here's the situation. We do have grants that are given from the state. We do have the 350 grant that's given from the state. And what my call is to say we need to be conscious as South Africans. We need to be deliberate to say we need to support South African-owned businesses. And that does not mean that we should not hold government accountable. We need to do all the things that needs to be done. We need to hold government accountable, but we must also take the power that we have as South Africans, because we are the ones, we are the customers, we are the consumers. So I'm asking consumers to say, you know what, before you go and buy the bread tonight for your kids' lunchbox tomorrow, please go and buy that bread at a South African-owned shop. That's something that we can be able to do to reverse what I consider to be the total takeover and domination of the township economy. And what we are dealing with, it's a very organized business network. And what it needs is for us as South Africans to be able to stand together, to unite, because the business people from other nations, they come into our country, they realize that we are divided. Therefore, they exploit that to their advantage. And now, if we are calling on South Africans to say, the little money that you have, that 20 rand that you have, that you are thinking of buying a bread tonight, please take that 20 rand and go buy bread at a South African-owned shop. That's the call that I'm making. It's not to say that I will not hold the government accountable in the work that I do in the legislature. In the same way that today I held the government of David Makura accountable regarding his ineffectiveness in dealing with movements like Operation Dudula and Alex. I will continue to do that. But over and above that, we need to be able to say, you know what, as a South African, that 50 rand that you have, that 10 rand that you have, there's a South African small business owner that needs your support, and we need to be deliberate in our support of South African-owned businesses.
This support that you speak of and being deliberate of support of South African-owned business, how much more of a complication is the fact that already that 20 rand that I have, I must stretch it. So if you're asking me to go buy bread from a South African who orders it, from a certain supplier, and it costs 11 rand, for instance, and I can go to a Pakistani and it costs 5 rand. You're asking me to buy a piece of item of clothing from Mr. Gana who's going to cost me 500 rand, and I can go to Chinatown and buy it for 100 rand.
You see, Dudu, there are lessons that we have learned in the last 10 or so years in terms of how we can be able to run business. I know businesses that are run by South Africans in the township that need support, that are even competitively priced. What we need to do is to be able to be deliberate in our unit, to say that, you know what, we need each other, South Africans. Now more than ever before, we need each other, we need to stand together so that we can be able to reclaim the township economy. It does not help at all to say that the only way we can reclaim the economies using pangas and nopkiris and threatening people and knocking down the doors. We don't need to knock down the doors. The money is in our pockets. We are the customers. We as the customers, we need to be able to say, you know what, we know where we need to take our money to. And that's the argument that I'm making, to say, over and above the work that needs to be done by law enforcement agencies, there's something that we ourselves as the people who've got the money, can then say, you know what, deliberately today I'm going to buy my bread from Dudu. And that's a deliberate action that I'm calling for from South Africans.
A closing thought from Mr. Mashaba in light of everything that we have spoken about, perhaps also just highlighting some of your policies that relate to the township economy.
Well, Dudu and Mr. Gana, the only way we as South Africans would really be in a position to grow our economy, we need the rule of law. There's just no way you can build an economy in an environment of chaos and anarchy and allow organized criminals, international criminals, to operate in your country and expect law-abiding South Africans to compete with the criminals. We've got to deal with this matter and deal with it head on. We cannot entertain criminality in any form, whether it's by South Africans or anyone. But we know of this international criminal syndicates bringing counterfeit goods, expired goods. You know, South Africa today, what hurts is the fact that it's a dumping country for expired and counterfeit goods. And we're expected to really keep quiet. And we've got politicians like Mr. Gana who are saying, no, this is fine, let's get on. No, this is the root of the problem. Let us not expect our people to compete with criminals. Let's deal with this criminality and deal with it head on. And also what I've really appealed to Mr. Gana to talk to must be the people responsible. Working with this Dudula movement, they don't have to really take the law into their own hands. But you are now pushing people, because once they listen to what you are saying and that lived experience, unfortunately people are going to get angry. So you should really be saying to them, guys, the problem is not yours. The problem is Home Affairs and this tripartite alliance that has opened our borders. Let's deal with the source of the problem. If you've got to march, Mr. Gana, go and march with them to the Department of Home Affairs, hold the department accountable, our army, our law enforcement agencies. But to say to our people they must compete with criminal syndicates, I think it's totally unfair and unreasonable.
Is that fair, though, Mr. Mashaba? I'll come to you in a moment, Mr. Gana. Is that fair, though, Mr. Mashaba? You are also the very same person that is quoted widely as having reckless statements when it comes to foreign nationals. And here, what's good for the goose is not good for the gander?
What has been reckless to do about what? I've always really maintained on holding government accountable. I think I made this statement on the 1st of December 2016 when I was the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, because when I took over as the mayor, I realized the level and intensity of criminality in that city. And obviously when I raised this matter, that's when people started calling me names and so all sorts of insults. But fortunately enough, you know what? I had the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa on my side, because when the ANC went to report me to the Human Rights Commission, the Human Rights Commission actually discovered that it's actually government in Home Affairs that is actually failing this country. And that is why I'm asking people like Ghana, please let us, all of us as South Africans, we must call for the rule of law to ensure that the people don't obviously really end up taking the law into their own hands.
Mr. Gana, your response?
Dudu, we need to multitask. This is a multifaceted aspect. There's a work that needs to be done from the law enforcement agencies. There's a work that needs to be done economically. And for us to be able to fight the economic warfare, we need to be using the tools of the economy. And the tool of the economy, the biggest asset that we have as South Africans, is our ability to buy. We must use our buying power to support South Africans. And we must make no apology for making that call, that we use the money to support South Africans. Yes, we can march, but marching is not enough. If the only thing that we do is marching, then you march in the morning, and then in the afternoon you don't go to use that 20 rand to buy from a South African-owned business, what have you achieved? Are we going to be waiting forever and hope that one day the law enforcement agencies can work, or we can say, you know what, deliberately, I'm a South African today. I want to cut my hair. To be able to cut my hair, I must go to a South African barber shop that's going to cut my hair. That's a deliberate action, and that's what I'm calling for. I'm calling for consciousness. We need to be deliberate in our support of South African-owned businesses. We need to unite as South Africans and be able to reclaim the township economy. And that, for me, is an immediate solution. Marching will achieve something, but buying from South Africans will have an immediate impact in the lives of a South African business owner.
A consciousness you speak of. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for availing yourselves this afternoon. Makashule Gana, DA member of the Gauteng Legislature, and Mr. Herman Mashaba, he's the leader of ActionSA.